I asked him about something about being a European chef, and he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Ireland." And he was like, "Oh, you're not European. You're Irish." Like, you're so fancy, Wolfgang. Coming up on Need to Know, Peanut Butter Lovers Day, Wolfgang Puck's Academy Awards menu, and hosting your own Oscars party and some small bites you can serve. That and everything else you need to know. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Need to Know. I'm Gemma Stafford, professional chef, cookbook author, and the creator of Bigger Bolder Baking. And as always, I'm joined with my two lovely ladies, Ami Shukla, who is the head of culinary here at Bigger Bolder Baking, and Tiana Cohn, who is an amateur baker and a professional host. And this week, we are the fancy lady.
We are so fancy, and we are in for such a treat today. So kicking us off hot from the oven, coming up is National Peanut Butter Lovers Day. And to celebrate, we have a very special guest here. This is Nerdy Nuts. I found out about this company on social media, made by Erica Peterson and her partner. They started this business out of their garage in Rapid City, South Dakota. And basically what it is it's small batch homemade dessert style peanut butter and nut butters.
Lovely.
So it's peanut butter. They also have some on their website that are almond butter based, and it's grown into this global sensation. You might have seen it on TikTok, Instagram, and they sent us 4 of their flavors.
Lovely.
To give it a try. So thank you so much to
you,
Nerdy Nuts,
Erica.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really glad she sent us, because I had a quick scan of the website, the banana cream pie, because that's the one that really stuck out to me, or stood out to me, I should say. And then Ami, look at this fancy lady, Dubai chocolate.
And I think I'm going to just claim Monster Cheesecake here for myself.
I like how on the sides of they say, like, it's just broken down.
What's
it's
in
just
it.
like what's in it: Rice Krispies, dehydrated marshmallows, and there's little pictures.
What I love about this, can we crack into these and
I will
start
tell you,
trying them?
they do send you your own spoon to try them. So when you buy the peanut butter, you get your own spoon. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, look at all
that.
these yummy.
What did you get over there? So is that
There's mini chocolate chips, mini M&Ms, cookie dough balls.
those are branded M&Ms?
They're branded M&Ms.
Wow.
They're not even generic.
Oats.
Look at that.
What did you get? Oh, I like the look of that one.
Avalanche.
And then we have, this is peanut butter. Oh, sorry. This is banana cream pie one.
What?
Oh my gosh. So I have to
Whoa.
say,
Should I mix it?
I feel like you
Probably
just
no.
know.
I don't
I think you just
yeah.
like dip in. I don't know.
I think you gotta give it a little mix.
let me just
I
get
want to get a little bit of everything.
It's not, do you know what? It's not, unlike traditional peanut butter, it's actually light and fluffy, and you're able to get your spoon in there. I took too much.
I feel like I could just walk down the street eating a one of these tubs, just like, and it reminds me of that old commercial with a girl walking down the street eating peanut butter, and then somebody else walking down the street eating chocolate. Do you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. And they bang into each
And I
other.
thought, who walks down the street with a jar of peanut butter? I think I would with this.
What I love about this is like, I often crave like a nice little treat at the end of the day of peanut butter. And this is really bridging that of like, it's making peanut butter dessert.
Yeah. That's very delicious. I have to say, so peanut butter,
Oh my God, that's so
I bet it is good. I'm going to try some next.
Trying
Peanut
the
butter
nail.
is not something, I feel like in America, don't hear me out here, that peanut butter is very nostalgic for you guys because you grew up with it. I did not grow up with it. My brother actually did eat it as a child, but it wasn't, it was available in stores, but it wasn't something that Irish people ate. It's a very American thing. So like you'd meet a lot of Irish people who here still to this day, like, do not eat peanut butter because we didn't grow up with it. But I know it was in your lunch boxes and with apples as your snack. George loves peanut butter, and Kevin definitely is somebody who grew up with it and still to this day. So these have Kevin's name all over them.
Yeah, these are great.
All right, I got to try some of this.
This one is like a Rice Krispie treat peanut butter. There's like little Rice Krispie pieces. There's mini marshmallows. There's caramel sauce, fluff, obviously.
You know what's really nice?
White chocolate peanut butter.
These are really good quality. So you can order these online. Am I right in saying that?
Oh my God, these are so good.
Yes, you can order these online. You can get there by going to their Instagram. It's nerdy_nuts of their website. And I believe, if I'm correct, it says on their website that they have new flavors that drop every week.
I saw that.
Like every Sunday you can get a new flavor. There's also something that I think is super cool because like it can be a little overwhelming. They have a ton of flavors. On their website, they have a quiz that you can actually take the quiz and it'll ask you things you like about dessert, peanut butters, different questions, and it'll kind of help guide you to what might be your preferred flavor
Yeah.
of Nerdy Nuts. I did the quiz and it said I was like a cake and bake was my preferred flavor. So
I'll just clarify what I was saying. I didn't grow up with peanut butter, but I do have an appreciation for it. Being in America for almost 17 years now, baking a lot with peanut butter. I have a husband who loves peanut butter. These are very delicious. And at the end of the night, when you're looking for a spoonful of something and they're soft, yeah, I'm all about this. What a nice treat.
it's delicious.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think that Dubai chocolate wins for me.
That's
That is
fancy.
So
That could
good.
almost be a hostess gift.
Oh my
That's
God.
fancy.
And I'm ready for a nap now.
Yeah. Well, thank you again to Erica at Nerdy Nuts for sending these. They were delicious. I definitely think we'll all be buying them in the future. Be sure to check them out on Instagram at nerdy_nuts. I'd love to keep sit here and eat this.
I'd love to keep eating peanut butter.
Love to keep eating peanut butter. We have lots to talk about today. So it's not just Peanut Butter Lovers Day. It's also coming up on the Oscars, which is very exciting here in Los Angeles, the city of entertainment. So I thought we could talk about some fun facts about the Oscars. Buzzfeed had an article with 21 facts. I have just highlighted a couple that I think would be really fun to talk about. The first one is, and these are all about obviously food with the Oscars. So the first one is, according to the LA Times, the Dolby Theater bans all food and drink inside the Oscars while you are watching the show. Attendees have to leave the theater to go to the bars and the lone snack table in the lobby. So it's not surprising that people will sometimes sneak in their own food, which I thought is interesting. I mean, the Oscars is like 4 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you get there on the red carpet, or I'm assuming you get on the red carpet early, and I think I'm guessing that a lot of those celebrities, once they've got all their photos taken, it's kind of like gay, now it's just like burger time.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
So I had my photos. They saw the dress. I was looking good. Now where's that beef Wellington?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's that stressful, just kind of getting ready, walking down the red carpet, getting all of that done.
From my understanding of the Oscars, you're slotted into a time. It's kind of like a wedding, right? When for walking the red carpet, it's like certain people nominees walk at a certain time. So some people are getting there super early and having to get ready super early. So it's just a long day. Another fun fact here is Simu Liu shared to Threads last year that host Jimmy Kimmel actually stashed soft pretzels and Sour Patch Kids under all the seats. And then Gemma, you were telling me that it was actually Shappy's pretzels?
Yeah, Shappy's pretzels. So it's Adam Shapiro, who is in LA, but I think from Philly. He's an actor, and he was in The Bear. He was in lots of, what was the show that you watched?
Never Have I Ever.
Never Have I Ever. He himself and his wife, I think his wife's also an actress, but they started this pretzel business and they make these really amazing, I think Philly style soft pretzels. And Jimmy Kimmel asked him to make the pretzels for the Oscars. And then he got to go to the Oscars. Isn't that so cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So fun.
So fun. And also we've all sat through a long presentation before. How great to reach under your seat and have a soft pretzel.
And I have to say, I'm sure they did come with this, but I've had his pretzels because Kevin his son did lemonade. They went to a lemonade stand one day and he was selling the pretzels. But the mustard, he does like a little pouch of mustard that you can get with the pretzels. Have you had them?
No, I haven't.
I don't know, it's like whatever it was, it just, the day that I had it just blew my mind. And it was sweet and spicy and mustardy, and it was kind of a little bit clearing of your sinuses, but then also sweet, honey mustardy. It was so
I
yummy.
love mustard. It's my favorite condiment, I think.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, I love it.
I like
But
mustard.
probably what kind of mustard? Not yellow mustard.
I mean,
Fancy.
I will take any, but yeah, no, that's not the first one I go to. I'll go to, for Dijon.
Dijon, I love
Yeah.
Dijon mustard.
But, if, I almost never have a hot dog, but if I do with some Frenchie's yellow mustard, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so good. Well, another hit at the Academy Awards here in food is so after following the Academy Awards is the Governor's Ball, which is just right upstairs, usually at the Dolby Theater. So all of the attendees of the Oscars will make their way up
I
the
didn't
stairs.
know that it was in the Dolby Theater. I never knew
I-
that. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know
Yes.
that. Yeah.
I thought it was like somewhere else.
Oh no, it's right off Hollywood Boulevard.
Mhm.
I actually wasn't going to bring this up, but a really crazy fun fact about me is last year I actually worked for security for the Oscars.
What?
Oh,
I know it doesn't make any sense, but I wasn't a security guard. I was the
Okay.
person that all the security guards had to check in with.
Oh, good.
And so I had to make sure the security guards were doing their job. I was in a parking garage under the Oscars. I never,
Did you get to see
I
anybody?
didn't see anybody. We called it kind of like, the dungeon. We never
Yep.
saw daylight. We didn't know what time of day it was. But the Oscars happened right on Hollywood Boulevard in the Dolby Theater. So yeah, they're in the Dolby Theater, and then the Governor's Ball's on like the 4th floor.
Yeah.
So you just keep going all the way up. But famously, it's catered by Wolfgang Puck, who does a variety of Oscar-themed treats, from 24 karat gold dusted chocolates that look like the Oscars. And I believe they've been doing it for like 30 years or something.
I think he's always been the
Yeah.
main head chef
Yeah.
for the Oscars.
And you actually have some insight to this. You were telling me.
Yeah, I don't know how many years ago, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, their PR for the Oscars reached out for the food part of it and said, do you want to come and sample the menu that Wolfgang Puck is doing? It's a media day and there's going to be other media there and other creators and whatever. And I mean, of course we're going to go to that. Wolfgang Puck was there. He was talking about the menu. They had it all laid out. It was in the Dolby Theater. It was actually in the kitchen where the food comes from. There was like beef Wellington. I think there was like Scotch eggs. There was caviar and blinis. There was definitely beef Wellington. I remember that.
did you get to try all of this, or just
We did get to
like
try
that?
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We took a lot of pictures that Kevin and I that we'll share. I think you're looking at pictures now probably. And we got, I don't know if it was the first time or they'd always done this, but the year that I was there, they started making the Oscars out of ruby chocolate. Was developed by Callebaut, which is a Belgian chocolate company, which we all know, a very good chocolate. It was only invented, so this is the thing, it was only introduced in 2017. So that must have been when I went to the Oscars.
Oh, probably.
It must have been. And after 13 years of development, and actually a fan of Bigger Bolder Baking when George was born. No, was that right? 2017? Yes, I think before, maybe 2019, 2020, somebody sent me from Colorado these tubs of ruby chocolate and asked me to make a recipe with them. And then I made the truffles. But it's very nice. It's more akin to white chocolate. So if you like that type of chocolate, it's like if you mix white chocolate and kind of like raspberries or a red berry, a red currant, something like that. It does pair very well with citrus. And then, I don't know what we did. Did we eat that Oscar? I don't know.
I was just about to ask, did you get one of the
We did
gold
get one. Everyone
chocolate
got one to
Oscar?
go. We didn't get the big ones.
Oh, okay.
We got a little small one. Everybody got one to take home. There is a picture of me, a big one with one big picture. There is a picture of me with holding the big ones. That was really fun. Like there's some really fun things that I get to do in my job. That I haven't done something like that actually in a long time. And that was really fun. And we got to meet Wolfgang Puck. His son was there. He was the infomercial guy who was selling ovens and pans and stuff like that. Like I didn't know a whole lot about him. And then I saw that he had these fast casual restaurants. And I was like, oh, maybe that's his thing. And this is when I first came to the US. I just didn't know. And in Ireland as a chef growing up, he was in America. So I didn't know a whole lot about him. But he does have like Spago is like one of his restaurants in LA, and he has another place. Like he has a few places. There's some of them are, I think maybe it moved to New York, but he's a really amazing chef. He's cool. He really is a cool person. I asked him about something about being a European chef, and he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said Ireland, and he was like, "Oh, you're not European. You're Irish." Like, you're so fancy, Wolfgang.
Oh my God.
But anyway,
That's
so
so
he was
funny.
cool. He was cool. And his son was nice. And it was a good time.
That's so fun. Well, we just talked about a lot of fun Oscar facts. And so I'm sure you can guess what our In the Mix topic is going to be today. But I'd really love to talk about, if you're going to host an Oscars party, it's just here in a few days, or if you are, any type of small gathering, I want to talk about how to elevate appetizers and talk about really having fun, fancy treats, snacks that last all night long for an Oscar viewing party, right? The stars have to suffer and not eat during the Oscars, but we don't while we are watching from home. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on what you would make. Like, what would be on your Oscar viewing party menu?
Oh, yeah. Well, I love hosting Oscar parties. And in fact, every now and then we get to host a more sophisticated party where we get to do a lot of small bites. And so I tend to have a formula where, especially if you're having appetizers, but people are going to be sitting all night or hanging out all night, you want to be able to make a meal out of it. So what I try to break down all the components of a meal and think about that as fancy appetizers. So my formula usually is you want like 1 or 2 proteins, something that can work well room temperature. You'll definitely always want like a charcuterie, a cheese, and a cheese plate of some sort, because that's always nice and always enjoyed, easy to eat small bites of. You want something fresh so that you don't feel like you've just had heavy things all night, and then a couple of desserts. So it doesn't have to be that many things, but you can feel like you can hang out all night and you didn't just eat like only cheese. I did a little thinking about, I haven't seen every movie that's been nominated, but I've seen a bunch of them. And so I did a little thinking about one, it's nice if you have a little bit of a theme. And for this year's Oscars, I thought you could take that formula and you could have a little appetizer that speaks to some of those movies. So
fun.
So if you want to hear my ideas, like what specifically I would put out on an Oscar spread for this year, well, for Conclave, since it takes place at the Vatican in Italy, I thought you could make mini calzones, like little mini hand pies with a little tomato dipping sauce. For Honora, which deals with people from Russia, you can have blinis with some smoked fish or just a plate of smoked fishes, which could be really nice. And
Love blinis.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're elegant. Or you could do like a potato pelmeni if you want to have something vegetarian. For Wicked, I would say you would do a green fruit and vegetable platter. So you would have green grapes, kiwis, green apples. You can have celery, cucumbers, and avocado dips. So you've got all these like fresh things, but they're for Wicked. For Dune, I would do the Fremen ate a lot of dairy, donkey milk dairy, and like dried fruit. So that would be your cheese. That would be your cheese and dried fruit plate. You would have cheese, dates, figs. That would be your cheese plate. And maybe you could have some cured meat on there.
Donkey.
Donkey. No donkey, but that would be for Dune. For Amelia Perez, which takes place in Mexico, largely. So that's when you go on to dessert. You have a Mexican chocolate flan, which would be really elegant and lovely. And then for A Complete Unknown, Bob Dylan, as we all know, is from Minnesota, and so is the bundt cake. So I would put out a bundt cake. And that would be and then also drinks. So you might have Chateau Neuf de Pop wine, Coronas, and cold vodka.
Wow. There you go. That's perfect. I feel
like that. I definitely, a theme is a really good idea. I kind of will echo a little bit what Ami said. Like, we definitely think the same way in that respect. A charcuterie board is so good because it feeds a crowd and it's very little work. I would say avoid stuff, and I'm guilty of doing this previously, that you have to cook off individual things. I'd say lay out your menu, if you want to do like blinis and caviar, those are a little bit more labor intensive because you have to, if your people are going to eat 3 and you have 30 people coming, so you're cooking off like, before you know it, you're 90 blinis. So make something that feeds a crowd easier, like flatbreads and tarts and quiches and things like that you can make a big one and then cut it up. I love the idea of fresh and fruit and veg and something bright. And then I will say, throughout the menu, like dot something a little bit fancier, asparagus and like a little bit of caviar, smoked fish, like Ami said, a little bit of smoked salmon, maybe a little bit of like cooked off beef or something like that. And just go. And then, I find when you're doing charcuterie, I don't know if you find this, but I'm guilty of doing this. I'll go to a shop and I'll buy the tray that like has all the, it says it's different cheeses, but then it ends up all tasting like the same cheese, even though like one of them's hard, one of them's soft, one of them's Swiss, one of them's something else. Cheddar. So I would say like definitely go to like the cheese section in your Whole Foods or in your wine shop or like Epicurean Center or whatever, and like get, because you don't need a whole lot of cheese, and people only eat a small bit. Buy the or at Italy, buy the nice cheeses and meats, and those kinds of things go a long way. Definitely write out a menu. Look at it, edit it, see is this realistic? How much work is this going to be? And I know this from experience, and you probably can attest to this, is the less stress and then the less, I wouldn't say the less work, the less stress that I take on when it comes to planning Super Bowl, Oscar menus, birthday parties, things like that. Everything just goes so much smoother. And I think people will appreciate the effort regardless.
Yeah.
And the expectation of anybody coming into your house is, and I mean, low, but not in a bad way. It's just because they're just happy to be there. They're looking forward to having something nice to eat and something nice to drink, and spending time watching the awards. And so you don't have to kill yourself.
What I love about this idea of planning it out and like having it be specific, covering all your bases, is at least like it's appetizer, small bites, but then you're not focusing on a huge meal. Like once those all are made, you actually get to enjoy it.
Yeah,
like,
it's not your job. Sometimes I say this to Kevin as well. Like we were having something recently. It's like, it's not our job to feed people.
Yeah.
They're going to be here for 2 hours. Why do it's from like 10 to 12. They've already had their breakfast. They're going to go home for lunch. Why am I feeding people a meal,
Yeah, it's like little snacks that are filling. And I agree so much, like charcuterie, I feel like is always a hit. Cheese and meats, especially like with dips, like the millennial generation.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Dips
like
are great.
an adult Lunchable.
Because we don't buy dips and have them in our house. So if I go to somebody's house and they have like charcuterie and crackers and dips, it's like a real, or it's Christmas time, you know what I mean? It's like a real treat. So like I already know that like, I did it for the Super Bowl. I do it so rarely because I love it so much. I would just eat so much of it. But like dips are like, when I see that, I'm like, oh, yay.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask what, like when you go to a party, what on the appetizer table is like your favorite thing to see?
I will tell you, I love dips. I will tell you though, and I don't know, like I think when it comes down to it, like, oh, that's such a good idea. And then you go to eat it, and you're talking to people, or maybe you only have napkins to put it on or whatever. You're like, oh, I literally can't eat this. Like if I've at an event or something and there's food going around, and I look and they're handing out canapes. I can't eat that one because it's just not going to work. It's going to break apart. I'm talking to this person. It's going to get messy. I just need something that like to pop in my mouth.
Right. Yeah. They should be like small, easy to put as one bite. If it's more than one bite, it shouldn't be super juicy. Room temperature is great. Whatever you're putting out, you want to have things that don't have to stay hot, because that's just, that is a bit of a pain. But something else that we just talked about that I, now
Dips.
Dips. I do love dips. Dips are like, I think they can also you can have a lot of like bean dips. They're all like, they're a little more substantial. They fill you up a little bit, which is really nice. I don't know. I lost my other thought, but yeah, no, it's
We're so excited to talk about dips.
I know dips are so good.
Dips are so good. No, I think it's so important too to talk about like bite-sized things. It's like, especially if you're in an environment where, not that a house party would be like tray passing, but where you're like constantly talking people. You can't like sit down and eat something. What are some like go-to, you just kind of mentioned like one bite things?
Well, I think it's, I remembered what I was going to ask, which was I always love seeing homemade things.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like, it looks like people like opened up a bunch of packages and put them out. I love to like sample something that someone made. So I will always gravitate towards that. Like, oh, what did you make? And I'm always relieved, even though it's not exciting, I'm always relieved to see crudité, like anything fresh, because all of these appetizers are often really rich. You want something a little palate cleansing. And that's so easy to put together hours in advance. And they're so brightly colored, you can really make them beautiful.
And it's easy to eat.
Yeah. Easy to eat for sure.
And like you can get some like nice quality like dips. You can make dips, which are also easy. You can also buy like good quality ones.
Like I love a deviled egg,
Mhm.
right? That sometimes if they're big,
Yeah, the 2 bites.
they're 2 bites and also could be messy and then
Yeah.
also could not be great for like your breath, right? I mean, I eat a deviled egg when I'm in the
Yeah.
privacy of
Mhm.
close family. I don't know if I would eat one. And also it's not that fancy, but you know what I mean? Like what's something you just like pop into your mouth?
Right.
Yeah, I think like a little pastry bite or something. It's hard when it's just one bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is. I just find if things are a little oily or they're a little herby, I always get worried about oil or like green things in my teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely find myself, if I know I'm not going to like get a chance to go run to a mirror somewhere,
Yeah.
like I try to like, I'll pass up on those kinds of things.
That's a good point. Stay away from seeds and stuff like that in your. There's one thing I'm very conscious of, especially if I go to like a work event where like there's a YouTube event or there's a brand or something that we want to go like there's somebody's hosting something for creators, and you can often get like really good food passed around. Or like there's breakfast set up or whatever, and like I'll go for an everything bagel, and there's options for like plain bagels or sesame bagels. I'm like, no, this is my own. This is not the catering. This is my fault. But I'll go for the everything bagel, and then it's just game over.
Oh yeah. That's always a problem. Now I'll always, I don't even love a plain bagel. I always like it with things on it, but I'm always like, if I know I'm going to be mingling and talking to people, I'm just going for the thing without the seeds.
Yeah.
The easiest, easiest
Yeah.
thing to eat. Well, thank you both so much for all that great advice and tips on hosting an Oscars party. If you are having an Oscars viewing party and you're going to make some fun small bites, fancy, or whatever is going to be on your table, let us know in the comments. Tag us on Instagram at Need to Know Pod. And we are back with the Bold Baking Hotline, where we answer questions directly from you. We got some variety here. Our first question is actually about peanut butter because it is National Peanut Butter Lovers Day. So this question comes from Gemma, your how to make homemade peanut butter. And it's, what if I used unroasted peanuts? Will it affect the shelf life of this? And whether I used roasted or unroasted peanuts, should this always be refrigerated, or can we just keep this at room temperature?
Okay, so the 2 questions you asked are good ones, but they don't relate to the peanuts being unroasted. So first off, can you use unroasted peanuts? Yes, you can. Your flavor will not be nearly as good. Peanut butter is generally made with roasted peanuts, so you're going to want to actually have them roasted. If you buy unroasted, then roast them yourself at home in an oven, probably 350 degrees for like, 10 minutes or 12 minutes until they're golden brown. You do not want to make peanut butter with unroasted nuts. It's not going to taste good. Now, it does not affect the shelf life if they're unroasted or roasted. You do not have to buy salted, because in my recipe, I use roasted and salted. If you're worried about the salt, feel free to use roasted, but not salted or lightly salted. That's totally up to you. And then with regards to refrigeration, you can keep peanut butter out shelf stable. Like it's totally fine. And you can scoop it, it's scoopable and all those sorts of things. For longer lasting freshness, we keep it in the fridge. So it depends. Like if you're using it every day for sandwiches or if it's your snack with apples or whatever it is, leave it at room temperature if you're going to go through it quite quickly. Otherwise, I keep it in the fridge. You will often have to soften it after it's been in the fridge.
Would you say that's the same with like store-bought natural peanut butter?
Yeah, the natural one you're not supposed to put in the fridge, right? It gets really hard.
Yeah, I don't
know. A natural peanut butter you actually are supposed to keep in the fridge because it can go bad faster.
Sorry. Yeah, it's the skippy one. It's the cheapy.
It's the stuff that's emulsified with that sugar and the extra oil.
The kind of store-bought kind of generic
conventional
ones.
peanut butters.
The conventional peanut butter, that you're not supposed to put in the fridge because they get really hard.
This is so crazy. I just recently looked at the label of like a Skippy peanut butter jar because I buy the natural one from Trader Joe's. It's like roasted peanuts, salt, water. That's what's in it. And the Skippy one is made with powdered sugar. Did you know that? Yes. My mind was blown. I was like, no wonder people are addicted to it.
Yeah.
It's sugar, powdered sugar. Great. So our next question is all about appetizers for your upcoming Oscars party. So the question is, what baked appetizers can be made ahead of time and still taste fresh? And then a follow-up question is, what are some baked appetizers that travel well?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think those sort of seem to me like a similar question. So I'll sort of answer them kind of together. Well, you can definitely, I sort of always think about these hand pies that Gemma and I made on Bigger Bolder Baking a few years ago. We have like a chorizo hand pie. We have a mushroom and herb hand pie. It's really good. They're lovely. There's a little bit of effort involved, so they feel a little special. They're handheld. You can make them hours in advance. They're really great room temperature. You can assemble them and put them in your fridge and then bake them right before people come if you're not traveling with them, if you want them warm. Yeah. There's also a mushroom galette that's on the website that's also wonderful, and that can be served room temperature. I think it's ultimately like any kind of a tart, a quiche. A quiche is lovely at room temperature, so you can make that in advance and then travel with it, or have it on your table. And a quiche you can also reheats really well. So you can bake it fully, put it in your fridge, and then just warm it up for a little while. So those would be sort of appetizers. We don't have a mini quiche recipe on the website as far as I know.
No, we don't.
But you could take that quiche recipe and just do that in mini muffin tins. I couldn't tell you exactly what the bake time would be. It would be a lot less than a full-size quiche. But if you wanted bite-sized ones, you could do that. Yeah. For sure, with that whole recipe. We've got savory Pop-Tarts, any of these like sort of savory baked goods that are just handheld, that are nice and substantial. They all travel well. They're all pretty sturdy. And they can all be
savory too.
Yeah.
They definitely have a savory, salty kick.
Yeah, mini spanakopita.
Yeah, those are nice. Mm-hmm. And then for instance, for spanakopita and the tarts you were talking about, use frozen phyllo pastry or use frozen puff pastry. For a lot of those recipes, and just make your life easier. Yeah. And you buy like quality frozen puff pastry, depending on the brand, you can get really good quality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yum. I wish we were trying some of these also in this episode. But I think that is it. So thank you both so much for all your insight. Thank you all so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, if you try Nerdy Nuts, please let us know, and enjoy watching the Oscars. Make sure to rate and review us, like and subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can catch every episode of Need to Know on YouTube.
From HRN and the Bold Baking Network, you are watching the Need to Know Baking Entertainment podcast.